So, welcome everybody to the 25th Paradise Group meeting. We've been going on for soon over 1 year. When April the 16th hit, we have hit the 1 year anniversary, and I'm very glad to have you guys here. It's been a pleasure to have you guys for so long, and some of you guys have been here from the start. Saif was in our first ever meeting, so thank you very much for being present. We should probably give him a role pretty soon here, because he's been here for over one
Uh-huh.
year with us. But let's get into the good stuff here. We're gonna have a celebration next meeting when we've hit the 1 year mark. Okay. So the index of today's meeting, that will be if anyone can become rich, some success stories, and then members' goals for the Paradise Group. And also a little bit more juicy sauce that we're gonna share along the way, but those are the main lines that we're gonna discuss today. Now, to get into everything here, I would first of all like to share a bit of a story to you guys. A story that I find very interesting, and I think you guys will as well. And this will lay the scene and also the groundwork for what we're going to be discussing in a little while. So let's get into it. Let's hear. Okay. So I'm going to speak about a kid that I've really admired and a person that I've watched and also had a good look out for a very long time. It's an old story, but you're probably going to like it. So there were basically once this poor kid, and he worked for the Kansas City Star newspaper, as you can see here on the screen. And he got fired from his first ever job because he did a poor job, according to the boss. Now the boss told him that he lacked original thought and that he didn't really have any creative ability. So he wasn't really good for the newspaper, you have to be creative in the news industry, and he didn't really think he fit the job. So they basically let him go. He was left out and he didn't have a job. But he still knew what he wanted and he kept pushing towards what he actually loved, and that was actually being creative. So even though his boss might have not seen that he actually could be creative, his main goal of life was to try to do something very creative for himself. Now, he liked to draw sketches of little animals and stuff, and also cartoons and whatever else you might see in your basically newspapers and small little serial numbers. And he got with a New York distribution company when he was around 24 years old. And at that time, he kind of liked the idea of the founder. The guy invested all his money to become partial owners with the guy who owned the distribution company. So he joined there, but before he even was able to start, getting his money worth, the Great Depression hit, which was the biggest stock market crash in the history of the entire world. The entire distribution company went under, everything went bankrupt, and it left the main character of this story without a job, without all his life savings, and basically left on his ass on the street. He didn't have any distribution company. He took all his money and he left him basically all alone on the street, dead broke, with nothing to go for him. So he had to resort to eating dog biscuits, literal dog biscuits, to survive. But he liked to draw sketches, he liked to be creative, and he moved over to the next thing. Now, while he didn't have anything left, he still wanted to keep going. He scratched off enough money working small jobs like a cleaner, picking up trash, just doing anything to make the bills worth. And he got enough money, enough coin, to scrap up a news ticket and also a ticket over to Hollywood, a train ticket actually. And that was back in the days, so it was pretty expensive to take the train, but he went to a studio called Universal that is in Hollywood. And he had come up with a new little drawing. He had a rabbit, and that rabbit was named Oswald. Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, a very famous cartoon that you probably heard of. And Universal actually liked it a lot. They started talking to him, they started negotiating a deal, started negotiating what type of money he could earn from his drawing that he's been able to come up with, Oswald the Rabbit. He got all excited, this is my chance to finally get my break in life. I've been resorting to eating dog biscuits, I haven't earned anything, and now finally I might get my break in life. Little did he know that all along, Universal went underneath him and silently patented Oswald the Rabbit. They just stole it right from him. So he couldn't use Oswald anymore. Universal just whoop, took his idea, left on his ass again, and he was, without any coin. His last little money was spent on that train ticket, and he was left there in Hollywood without anything to do. Now again, it was just failure. Still stood there. He didn't have anything, but he was able to find a Tesla fortitude to stand back up and keep fighting for what he actually wanted. He was strong in that sense, and it outweighed all the displays of negativity, all the failures, all the adversities, all the rejections that he's faced in his life. Getting patented by one of the biggest cartoon and it works in the entire world. I can't imagine how it feels when you've been resorting to eating dog biscuits and negotiating a deal. Pretty harsh there. But the disbelief of everybody else was much smaller than his belief in himself, and he kept going on the path that he wants to do. And he came up with another little idea, and that idea was a character that basically was a mouse. Now, everyone was like, man, you're crazy. That mouse is gonna scare ladies, that mouse is gonna scare kids. Nobody's gonna watch your little mouse there, my friend. But he said, I don't think so, I think they're actually gonna like what I'm gonna draw. I think you're gonna like it so much that I'm gonna name that mouse Mickey. I think you know the rest of basically the Walt Disney story. The Walt Disney Empire now rakes in billions of dollars each year through TV, through shows, and through films. In 1996, they bought a company called ABC, which just so happens that ABC was the mother company of a small little newspaper, a news station called the Kansas City Star. They say success is the greatest form of revenge, and I think that felt pretty good for Walt. The company that fired him, he rose so much above it that the company that bought that company, he bought that company. The literal company that fired him when he was a little child or like 19 years old, the company that fucking bought that company, he was able to buy that company. I really like that. That's nice. That's a good visual nutrition for you guys, Somebody that wanting something so bad, so much failure that is basically his strength become the failure in it. Failure literally formed this guy. The other characters, the failure of those made him better and wiser. And when he finally got a good idea, which was Mickey Mouse here, he had a nutritional fortitude in his mind to know how to execute on it. And once that gold mine hit, he was ready to take it. And as you can see here, he really scored. Billions of dollars raking in for that company. And then we have this other kid. I think all of you are going to relate a little bit to this kid I'm going to talk about today. And there was this kid, he was growing up and he couldn't, he didn't even speak until he was 4 years old. Didn't know how to read until he was 7. He was so far behind his peer group that at age 7, his teachers called him stupid. They literally called him stupid, blazed out. Inability to learn, they said. Dumb as a rock. So much so that they expelled him from the literal school. They expelled a 7-year-old from the school. This was back in the 1900s. He was also labeled educable mentally retarded and had his parents pick him up. He's dragging all the attention levels down from the other kids, the teacher said. They can't really focus. He's slowing down the progress of the levels. He's dragging the collective group down, so he can't be here anymore. They said he was mentally challenged. And that's a lot of you in this room, I would say, I know a lot of you who's been labeled with ADD, ADHD, dyslexia, all this type of self-limiting beliefs that they put on you from an early age. And his parents was like, yeah, great, now we have a retarded kid or something. Well, that's really great. Getting kicked off when he was 7. Real good for us. I don't know. They put him to work, and he got fired from every single job he had for still he was 21 years old. From 7 to 21, he got kicked from every single job he ever had. And he basically got fired, and fired again, and fired again, and he tried and he got fired again. So all he's seen in life is basically failure until 21 years of age. And rejection is basically all he knew. So much so that when he actually found what he wanted, what he actually burned for, what he wanted to continue, was just to pursue it. And in his dreams, the idea of failure, over 1,000 times exactly, the idea that he came up with, a very smart idea that this person came up with that was labeled educable mentally retarded at age 7. The idea he came up with, he failed over 1,000 times before he got it right. More specifically, to get it exactly here, he failed 1,093 times before he actually got it to work. And when he actually got it to work after the 1,093rd time, he finally got the light bulb to lit. And I think you know the rest of who this person is. That's Thomas Edison for you. Sure glad he kept going. That's literally the founder of the light bulb. He came up with the light bulb. As it says here in the quote, I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. And I think that's very important for you guys. Many people, when they file their first business idea, their first pitch, whatever, you think of it as failure. But if you think of it as just, yeah, I've tried another business model and that will make me wiser for the next one, and now I know what aspects and elements in that business that didn't work, you'll think of business in a completely different way, but also failure. This person, he failed 1093 times. He found nourishment and basically his motivation in the fear and failure. That was basically all he knew until he was 21 years old. He fucking worked on that. So of course he kept trying and he kept trying and he kept trying. And I want to ask you, when have you ever tried something more than 1,000 times over and over again and still continued the course? I can't say I ever had. I've never tried something that many times and still kept going on whatever I wanted to dream and pursue on. I failed many times, but never 1,000, or not yet at least. But I am sure glad that he actually continued this path, because that's where we have the light bulb, the literal symbol of an invention. That's what he came up with. Every time it failed, he made the invention a little bit better, and a little bit better, and a little bit better, until the light bulb finally lit, as I mentioned to you guys. So, the question I would like to ask you guys after these stories is, can anyone become rich? Timon, what do you think? Can anyone
Well, of course, by
become
hearing
rich?
by hearing those two stories, you might think, well, if a kid who was expelled at the age of 17 became rich, invented the light bulb, then of course I can do it. But I hate to break it to you, you can't. Unless you are willing to try again and again and again and again and again and again and again until you actually get it right. And then maybe fail a couple more times and try again until you get it right again, you're not going to make it. So, personally, I believe not anybody can become rich. People who become successful financially and in all the general aspects of life, they try again and again and again until they do make it. So if you're not willing to try again and again and again, then you won't make it.
I think I agree with Tim on there to a certain extent. What do you guys think? Do you think anyone can become rich? Anyone who want to come up on the stage and share their idea? Vale, do you want to take it? Let's hear. I see a lot of people here saying in the chat that they think anyone can become rich. I see a lot of yeses here. I see a lot of people who believe that anyone can become rich. Let's see here. Not Nikola Tesla. No, not Nikola Tesla, man. This is Walt Disney and Thomas Edison, the two greatest inventors of, or two of the most famous ones, is what I would like to say. But I believe in the Newton's law, and this is something that I really think is a sound principle that you guys should also study. And Newton's law states that every action has an opposite and equal reaction. And that basically means that, for example, if you walk off a boat here, the action is that you walk off the boat. The reaction is that the boat goes in the opposite direction. If I throw a fucking football, if I throw a fucking ball, that ball will keep a course on where I throw it, and my hand will go back. You know, everything that you put in, you will get an opposite reaction towards it. If I step forward, something will step backwards, as you can see here, if you're pushing up a boat. Now, that principle is very true in business as well. One good example of that is compound interest, but also improvement. If you improve something, you just do something every day, you are naive to think that if you try something over and over again, if you try to improve it every day, that it won't get better, then you're just stupid, I would say. Because very, very small changes that you can't see, they will make a big impact on your final life, is what I think. Now, Timon, you want to speak a bit about exponential growth and compound interest?
Of course. So, as I mentioned, I personally believe that not anybody can become rich, but there are certain factors that you can implement to assure that you will at least get to a certain level of wealth. Now, exponential growth can be implemented throughout your life, right? Not only financially, but of course that's what we're focusing on mainly today, since the topic is can anyone become rich? Now, no, not anybody can become rich, but if you do apply exponential growth within yourself and your company, then you can. Oh, the stream just ended.
Yeah, give me a second here. There we go.
Okay.
Fix now. So, here we go.
So, interest is actually extremely interesting. I'm not sure how many of you guys, have the financial literacy to understand it, but essentially, if you start with a small amount and you have other amounts accumulating and accumulating, and you use the same amount that you started with to make more and more, then every time you make more, it's going to be more than you made before. So we'll have a bit of a visual depiction of that later on. But I must genuinely go, like, I must genuinely advise everybody here. I suggest that you just not save, but rather invest. You start with something small, make it bigger and bigger and bigger. And if it fails, you try again and again and again, right? If you lose something, you put more in, more effort, more monetary value, and then you will eventually see more monetary outcomes. If you go to the next slide, right, you can see. So a lot of people, they only get their salary, right? And that goes for expenses and then taxes, living expenses, insurance, everything you actually need to pay under expenses, and then you have a little bit left, right? Now, people who gain a higher salary, they usually have more expenses, right? More taxes, but they do still have more left. But this is still your average person. A smart salary or money mindset is where you still have to cover your expenses because it's a necessary. It's a necessity, but one of your expenses is also to invest, right? So you see that the first arrow is red. Yes, you are losing money, but you are still turning that money into more. And in the end, you're making more money because of that. All of these people might have started out with the same amount of income, but because of how they spend their money, how they not only save their money, but invest their money, they've ended up with more money in the end. This is extremely crucial if you want to actually become rich, and a lot of people are not being educated on simple aspects such as this. A lot of people believe that if you just simply save your salary, then you'll be set for retirement. Guess what? That's not going to happen. Inflation exists, the taxes go up, the government wants more and more money, even though they control how much money you get. So if you do not smart invest, if you do not spend your salary in a smart way, and you make the money work for you and make the money grow, then you will not become rich. And this goes for people with an average 9 to 5 job, people who are business owners, entrepreneurs, and simply people who don't have any income whatsoever. Any form of monetary gain that you can accumulate, that still needs to go into making the money more. You still need to invest it. I'm not talking about only stocks or EFTs. I'm talking about investing in yourself, finding something that will, in the long run, create more monetary value, making the money work.
The one very sound principle that you guys, I don't think everybody thinks about, and I think stays very true in the test of time, is this: that people only believe exponential growth and accumulative things, just like the Newton's laws, as you can see here if I go back a couple of pages. The principle of every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Many people think that exponential growth and such only apply to what you want to it to basically apply to. They think that it only applies to whatever they want to do it. No, that's
Mm,
not how it works. Exponential
mhm,
growth and the Newton's law of every action has an opposite and equal reaction works for everything you ever do. If you ever do those bad habits, you're playing a video game, you're sitting in front of your TV doing nothing, you're hanging out with those no good friends, you're drinking alcohol, you're smoking, you're vaping, whatever you might be doing, taking drugs, and you're just being a lazy bum, then that also counts towards the end goal. Everything that you do counts. If you eat the bad food, that will count. But the same could be said about if you eat the good food. The only thing that is that
mm,
it's hard to realize that it actually is declining downwards. The same could be said about it's going upwards, but you get very small returns upwards, you also get very small returns downwards, but they accumulate over time. So don't think that, okay, yeah, this principle applies to me making money, this principle applies to me becoming richer, this principle applies to me becoming a better human. It also applies to you when you're lazy scrolling on TikTok for 6 hours.
mhm. That's where we're going to be going next. It's extremely hard to become rich. At least most people think it is because it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. But guess what? If you want to become unsuccessful, then this is your blueprint for it. It's extremely easy to not become successful. So, as Gustav just mentioned, exponential growth goes both ways, right? It adds up slowly, accumulating your wealth, your health, and living a balanced and successful life. It might be harder, but those things also accumulate in the same way that the bad things do. So, if you do not want to become successful, then you need to follow these 4 steps. You're going to do it extremely quickly. So, if you ever see an opportunity, business venture, whatever it may be, higher salary, different job, maybe a job in the first place, you need to deny all of your opportunities. Okay? Throw them all out of the door because that way you won't make any results happen for yourself. And then, secondly, don't manage your time. Okay, you need to spend all of your time on different ventures. If you do take all of your opportunities, you miss the first step. You're taking so many opportunities at the same time. Then you need to forget to manage your time. Okay, this way you are assuring that you are not becoming successful. Thirdly, always waste your effort. Right, put in a lot of effort into something that you know is never going to work. Never ever. And the fourth one is high risk, low reward. So you need to risk all of your money into things that have low rewards, right? If you see a new business venture and you clearly know that there's a high risk and the reward is low, then you need to take that one, right? Because this is how you will never become successful. If you apply all four of these, then trust me, you will never become rich. And the problem is so many people are not deliberately doing these things. They don't even know that they're doing it, but they're still doing it. They're not analyzing their own day-to-day lives. And instead of doing the good things, making the good things accumulate and applying exponential growth to that, they are applying exponential growth to the bad things without even realizing it.
Exactly. And I really think you guys should study. It's two things that everybody should understand very, very good. And that is science, a sense of science. You shouldn't care about what the fucking, like, what the mitochondria is in the
Oof.
cell. Who cares about that? No one cares. But what you should care about is Newton's laws. Those are very true. If you learn those, you'll become very good because they have truth in everything you find in the real world. Another thing that you think you also should take a good look at is just learning and understanding how supply and demand works. So many people say, yeah, supply and demand is easy. All it is that, if somebody wants something very much, then the prices will go up if the supply is down. Well, that's pretty simple. But do you totally understand what supply and demand is? Do you totally understand what that curve really is? If you do that, you'll become very rich. I promise you, it is levels to that. So start studying supply and demand and also Newton's laws. Those ones are also very good. Now, I have another segment here, and I think you guys might like it. So if you want to become more successful, is to do the opposite. Opposite of what?
No, no, no.
The
If you
opposite of
apply
this,
all of
yeah,
these
yeah.
things, then you
You,
won't
but
be successful.
then you're not
You
gonna become
won't be
successful.
successful.
Exactly. So now I have a fun little experiment here. I had Hassan and also Valle tell me in the chat that I asked a simple question. Anybody here who wants to double the penny for each day of an entire month? Just double a penny each day for a month. A penny is literally 100 pennies in $1. It's worth nothing. You know, who here thinks they can double a penny for every day of a month? 1 penny is equal to one. Yeah, Hassan, get up on the stage, man. Request to speak, bro.
Yeah, please do.
Hassan, get up on
Because
the
otherwise
stage.
we might have the new
Vale, get up on stage.
richest man in the world.
Vale, get up on stage, man. I
There we
accepted
go,
his invite.
Hassan.
Yeah, okay.
Yo,
How's it going,
yeah,
Vale?
yeah. It's going good. What about you?
Amazing as always. So, Vale, do you think you can double the penny each day for a month? It's 100 cents. One of those
Yeah.
100 cents. Do you think you could
Uh,
double it each day for a month?
Yes. If I really
Hassan?
tried, yeah.
Yeah, Hassan, do you think
Yeah,
you could
yeah, I
double?
could.
You,
Yeah, yeah,
you
I
think?
could.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes,
mute
sir.
up. We're gonna go through this experiment and we'll see how it looks, okay?
Yeah,
All
sure.
right, I'm gonna start it.
Sure. So, Hassan and Valle here thinks that we'll be able to double the penny for each day of a month. Timon, don't spoil anything here. So, on the
I
first
won't.
day of your guys' journey, you'll have a cent or a penny. The second day of your guys' journey, you'll have 2 cents or 2 pennies. The third day, you'll have 4. The fourth day, you'll have 0.8 or 0.08 even. It's even worse than you thought. Then on the fifth, it's 0.16. That's nothing, right? You still think you can do it?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Easily. Not even a dollar. A tenth of a dollar. The sixth day, it's 37 or 32 pennies. Do you think you can do that, Valle?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Seventh day, 64 pennies. Do you think you do that?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Eighth, $1 pretty easy. $2
Yeah.
pretty easy.
Yeah.
3, 5, 6, 10. You think you still can do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily. This is a minimum wage hourly salary in Sweden. Easy.
Yeah, if you get that in 11 days, I mean, easy.
This is pretty easy as well, right? 20 bucks.
Yes.
But 13, now it's gonna become a little harder, eh?
I could do it.
You
Yeah,
still think
Sam,
you
I
can
could
do
do
it?
it.
It's
Yeah.
$1,310 per day.
Yeah, I could do
Yeah.
it. A day?
I could
No,
do it.
not in a day.
You have to double it each month. So you have to have $1,310 here. You still think
All
you
right,
can
yeah,
do
I'll
it?
do that. Yes, sir.
This? Still think you can do it?
Yeah.
Do you still think you can do it? $83,886. You still think you can do it?
If it's a challenge, then I'll do it.
You still think you can do it?
That's a new answer.
You know how
Oh
much
wow.
do you think you can get $335,544 in a month?
Mm,
You still
Well,
think
if
you
you're
can double the penny?
dedicated, if you're dedicated, then you could.
Do you still think you can do it? $2,684,353.
Yeah, I could do it.
Almost a month.
Yeah, I could.
You think
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
get
yeah.
$5,368,709 in a month? That's how
Yeah,
much it gets if you double the
Yeah.
penny each day of 1 month.
yeah,
What do you think, Vale?
yeah, I could do it.
Vale, if you do that, I in fact know your bank account wallet, Vale. You have like $200, bro. So
No,
for
I
you,
have.
who think you can double the penny each day of 1 month, I would probably recommend you to try to double it. You'll have $5,368,709 at the end of your little journey there. And if Hassan and Vale still think they'll be able to do it, then I'm very welcome to see you guys try to double that penny each day. I'm looking forward to have 2 more half to $10 million in our server. And here is a little table about how that actually works. You can see here, until day 15, it's really doable, right? Like, you know, from day 10, from day 1 to day 10, it's only $5. That's really easy. But then you start looking at how much a difference 10 days is from day 20 to day 30. So from day 1 to day 10, it's only a $5 difference, right? But from day 20 to day 30, it's literally a $5 million difference. That's how powerful compound interest could be for you guys. So if you really take into account what Newton's law is, if you really take into account supply and demand, if you really understand how important exponential growth is, then you'll understand exactly how everything works. Because the people who believe that they could double the penny for each day of 1 month, if you stack the course to that, you'll be a multi-millionaire at the end of it. And I really welcome you guys to try it. What do you say, Timon? You think you can do it?
I mean, listen, to an extent, of course, you can double your pennies, you can double your dollars, and when it reaches, 4 or 5 figures, it might become a bit harder. Even if you are a seasoned trader or an investor, that is practically impossible, but it just shows you, it's just a visual depiction of how strong
Powerful. Yeah,
exponential wealth can be if you implement it correctly.
exactly. No, it's very powerful if you get understanding of how it works. I just fly daily. I don't think it is a issue on our volume. I think it might be something with your headset maybe. But it should be good. Okay, Saif, do you want to share anything to the audience, I see? Let's see what we want to share. There we go. Hey, Saif, you want to share something to them about doubling the penny?
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. How's
I'm
it
sorry
going?
if my mic is not very good, but in my opinion, I don't think it's like very viable to double your investment every day, because it's not about making 2 cents in 1 day. It's more about doubling your investment on 1 day, which I think is like practically impossible. But if you look at a principle like compound interest and compound, I think like it's a very good way to make people understand, but I don't think it's like possible to double your investment every day.
Well,
I mean, yeah, that's if you do it on 100% each day, then
this is not
this
an
is a
this is not
beautiful
an
depiction of how
investment.
a
This is
penny,
doubling,
exactly,
flipping, basically.
but this is how a penny can turn
Yeah,
into
but like,
5.3 million. But of course, if you even do it on 3%
yeah, but
interest
like
rate on a day, that's
the
a
thing
lot of money.
is,
What do you say, Saif?
I'm saying it's not about how much you can make in a day. Of course, everyone can make $2 in a day and $10 in a day, but like, for example, as you said, like doubling your $2 million in one day can be can be quite a challenge, you know.
Exactly. And that's the point we try to really get forward with this example here, guys, is it might not be the easiest to double your investment each day. And if you really understand it, that just becoming better each day, how big a example that could actually have towards you, it will get you a big understanding of how much money you can make from just doubling your investment. And a doubling is very big. Everything in business, like I always say, is a game of doubles. If you're just able to double your investment, if you're really rich, like 3 times in a row, you're gonna become super wealthy. Because the higher up you come in these exponential growth pillars, the more you make. Just look here, from
Yep.
day 20 to day 30, it's $5 million. But between these days, it's only $5. So big difference there, guys.
Mhm.
Now another
Yeah, I
thing I
mean,
would
that
like,
being said, you won't
yeah,
be doing it for 30 days, but if you do it for 3 days with a lot of money, you don't even have to double it, but doubling is, of course, going to give you the best results. But if you just apply that exponential growth factor to your cash flow, you'll see amazing results.
for sure. Another thing I would like to share with you guys is psychotic behavior. There are a lot of psychotic behavior I see in the real earth, basically world and earth and everything you can have here around us. And it's so many people who say they want to become successful, but they do things that is so easy to understand that they can't become successful if they do it. Now, a very good quote by Albert Einstein is this: insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and then expecting a different result. How could you expect to get a different result if you do the same thing again and again and again? You won't get any other results. Your chance won't get any better if you try the same thing over and over again. It's that simple. If you jump down from the Eiffel Tower 10 times, you're not going to survive just because you jumped 10 times. It's that simple. So don't try the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again and then expect for you to get something else. It's not how it works. I've tried it many times before. I've been a fool as well with this principle, and you really have to evaluate what you're actually doing. If you do the same thing over and over again, you'll soon enough figure out that you're doing something wrong. Because you won't get any better if you do the same things. It's really simple. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And this is a good example of how many of you, or how I looked before when I played a lot of video games. Why aren't these fun anymore? And why am I being sad? A lot of you guys are probably in this stage. And this was the thing that really made me switch from playing video games and stop playing it. I played video games when I was like 9 to like 15, 16. And then when I was like 15, 16, I couldn't sleep anymore because I felt so bad about myself. I was always playing video games. I felt like I wasted my life. But I didn't know what step to take. But what I figured out was that I always wanted to become rich. I always wanted to become successful. But I was doing the same principle as the start here. I was doing the same thing over and over and over again, and I was expecting a different result. People go to school, they get a job, they get a degree, they start working a normal 9 to 5, and then they expect to be rich. How could you expect to be rich when you're doing the same thing as everybody else? If everybody else is going to school and you want to become exceptional, how do you think you'll become exceptional if you do the exact same things that they do? Is that damn simple? Or what do you say, Timon?
I fully agree, man. It's very interesting. I mean, you mentioned earlier you do need to have like a basic understanding of science. If you want to pursue science, then you will learn about how the brain processes dopamine and serotonin. And it's very interesting, but things that we consider normal nowadays, such as playing video games, such as scrolling through TikTok, such as vaping, such as drinking, such as excessively doing anything that is bad for your health, it gives you dopamine rushes that is unnatural, right? If you go back even 200 years ago, you would not even get that from anything, not
Yeah.
even remotely close. And yet, our generation and, Gen Alpha, they're being exposed to these things from a young age, essentially frying their serotonin receptors. So, by being fed up with this is actually a really good thing. If you realize that you can no longer stand just repetitively doing these bad things to yourself, it's actually a really good thing because then you've realized that you need change. Now, the only hardest part is to actually go forth with that change, implementing that change. I saw somebody say in the chat, it went from one more game to one more rep to one more trade. And that's extremely valid. That's extremely valid, man. Like, similar to me, like, I used to play a lot of games, and every day I was just playing CSGO, playing Rust, playing Fortnite. And now it's every day in the gym, right? Every day making money, getting on the grind.
Yeah, the thing about video games and the thing about these habits, or just video games, I would say in particular, is that video games are very similar to business and success. Very similar. The principles that you apply in video games could be applied to a certain extent in business and making money as well. That is 100% true. 100%. The principle that I had when I played Rust, which was a video game where you just wasted your entire life, I think I had like 3,000 hours on that game. It was crazy. I was playing all day being a degenerate. But the principle was that you have to mine for sulfur, you have to mine, which was basically the currency in that game. Then you get new things, you trade it, you build it, you create more wealth, you maintain that wealth, you stop people from stealing your wealth, you go and mine even more wealth, you get other people to mine your wealth, and then you become richer and richer and you upgrade, buy new things, buy better minicopters, buy better helicopters, buy better cars, and then once you're finally at the top, then you quit. Now that's very similar to life. What did you do in that game? Well, you farmed, which was basically mining for diamonds, wherever you want to have, which could be accumulated to making money. With the money you had, you invested in better equipment. Now the new equipment that you had, which could be seen as knowledge, for example, investing in new books, investing in whatever things that could make you more efficient. The things that you get from those equipments would make you earn even more money. The money you earn from that, you invested, think of it like this, into something new that could make you even more money. And then you just apply that principle over and 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 over again until you became very wealthy. And that's how you implement systems, become very rich, and eventually, become very successful. Or what would you say, Timon?
Yeah, no, fully agreed. It
So,
goes hand in hand with exponential growth.
yeah, everything is exponential growth. And if you're able to grind 9 hours a day just on a video game, and you actually think of it in a more competitive way, then I promise you, if you just got the burn and you got the right desire to do it towards a business, all you need is some guidance, then you'll become very rich as well. But you have to take the big switch from being a loser playing video games to being a real success and making some juicy money, is that what I would say. Now, over to the next one here. And that is an expression that I always say, guys. And here's a little greeting from me yesterday at 3 a.m. I hadn't run in a pretty long while, but I've decided to start cutting down on weight. I want to become pretty healthy now for the summer, and I've started to run very far. I've never ran 21 kilometers, and it was pissing raining outside. It was minus 10 degrees. It was literally freezing. I nearly got frostbites on my hands, and it was like very bad weather. And I was out running, 3 a.m., 21 kilometers. Here's a little greeting from me from yesterday. Let's see if it works.
This is the most impressive thing I've ever seen.
Let's see here.
Burn the midnight oil.
Can you hear the audio?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Great.
Hey guys, you gotta burn the midnight oil. So later in life, you never wonder what if. You don't stay awake in the midnight hours. Wonder what you could have been. Minus 10 degrees, Sweden, running without a shirt. Couldn't do 3 at night, but I'm getting the fuck after it. And I hope you're doing the same. See you in the TPG 25th meeting. Let's go, motherfucker!
That was like,
Woo! Ah. Dumb fucker into motherfucker of inspiration. Ah. Hey guys.
so that was a little video from me running yesterday. 21 kilometers in. I was fucking pissed tired. But you guys need to think of it. It's very powerful, guys. Compound interest, make yourself a little bit better every day. And I promise you, from now on, me and Simon will make these meetings a little bit better every time we get into it. I hope you've seen that these meetings are trying to get better. And you gotta really burn that midnight oil, guys. I was up until 4:30 last night, and I woke up at literally 10. I slept like 5.5 hours, which is pretty decent. I've slept more, I've slept less. But the principle is you gotta burn that midnight oil. I always say that. I said it in the video as well. You gotta burn that midnight oil, or later in life you'll stay awake in the midnight hours wondering what if, what you could have been. I don't want any of you guys to regret your life, your best, everything you went through in this life. So please, guys, while you're still young, grind these hours out. Run the run, try to make the business, take the choices, try to really do something with yourself. Because if you don't do it right now, if you don't burn that midnight oil, you'll really regret that in the midnight hours later in life, and that is a guarantee. You gotta really erase that out of the equation. And as I also said in the video, you should go from a dumb fucker to a motherfucker of inspiration. And that's a good quote for you guys. So Timon, what do you think?
Yeah, no, man. I mean, I've seen that video before, but never in my life would I even get close to running 20 kilometers. Of course, I could try, and that's the best you could do. But the fact that you just went full out, did it. I know you haven't run in a while because we've been so busy with the business, but just going for it is insane to see. And, you know, I would urge everybody here to just push their boundaries just a little bit every day. And whether it's going to the gym, taking that one little risk within your business, maybe hiring somebody new, whatever it may be, just push yourself, right? And then you will go from the dumb fucker to the
Into motherfucker of
motherfucker.
inspiration, motherfuckers. And that's really important. Try to really implement this. A lot of the people in the chat are asking us how we made our first little amount of money, Timon. I think we both have little different stories. Would you want to start off, or do you think I should?
I mean, go for it, man.
Sure. So I
You have a
see
pretty
that
interesting
Hassan.
story.
Yeah, for sure. I have a pretty unique story how I made my first little amount of money. So Hassan, I see you asked me how I made my first couple of little pieces of change. Now, the most valuable principle that I could give you is not what I'm doing right now, because those things have taken the steps that I had to take in the beginning. You know, think of life as leveling up, an MMO, an RPG, whatever you want to think of it as. You can't start on the floor level 50. You can't go towards the strongest boss in the entire video game when you're down there with leather armor at level 1. That won't work, you're gonna die. So you have to start off at the first stage and then you build yourself upwards. You start at the bottom and you build one level at a time until you become very successful. So the principles that I do today, the principles that Timon do today, the principles that some of you guys that are very successful does today, does not reflect what you guys should do today. If you're not successful yet, don't do the things that me and Timon are doing at this moment. We started to get into government contracting, we started to get into manufacturing, and also excess proceeds for closures, and also raising capital for some of our investments. You shouldn't do that, because that won't be relevant towards you. But to get into how I made my first ever amount of money, I would like to share this to you guys. Now, how I made my first bunch of little cash, I think it was... Hassan, would you like to know how I made my first 10k? Yeah, sure.
Super interesting story.
Yeah. So how I made my first K, I had $10,000 in my account when I was, I think it was 15 or 16. No, it was 16 it was, yeah. I think it was April when I was 16 I hit 10k. Now, how I made my first 10k or 110,000 Swedish crowns was very, very complex. I was a broke, really broke, dumb fucker, as you can see. I was this guy here. I was out of shape, skinny fat, annoying. I didn't really I was very dumb as well. I was very, very dumb. I was shy. I couldn't speak in front of people. I were not successful at anything. I played video games like 12 hours a day. My friend here in the chat, Valle, could vouch for that. I think he knows how bad I was in a little while ago. But I made a change and I stopped playing video games when I was 16 years old. And I started going full out forced on other things. Now, the first thing I realized was that to become rich, you don't work a bad job. As many people could say, and a quote I like to do is that if you get offered, this is what I got. I got offered 2 jobs. The first job was this. It was working at McDonald's for $11 an hour, or cleaning staircases for a real estate company for $7 to $8 an hour. Everybody in the chat, what would you do? Would you work for the cleaning company, or the attic, basically a real estate company where you clean their staircases and does gardening, or would you work for $7 to $8 an hour? Or would you work at McDonald's for $11 an hour? That's a $3 an hour difference. Let's see here.
People that decide to work a 9 to 5 at a cleaning company if they have other options are just delusional.
100%. But the thing is that I see so many people my age that got offered the same opportunity that I got, and they picked McDonald's. Every single person picked McDonald's or the gas station or whatever, which is so stupid. Why would you pick that? You know, the money you make when you're 16 doesn't matter at all. What matters is the person you become. If you get offered two positions, one that could take you towards something that you want to become, or two, something that you earn a little bit more from, not taking you to where you want to become, then you're stupid if you pick the position where you earn a little bit more. When you're young, the only objective you should have is to start basically working for something that you want to do in the future. In that sense, graving your future into something that you want to actually do. So what I did is that I took the job opportunity at a cleaning company, or basically a real estate company, and I did cleaning. Now what I did was that I worked all summer, and also all winter and all Easter, and all autumn of course, and I cleaned their staircases. I have so many videos of me going around with a little mop, cleaning up the stairs after people have literally been fucking pissing and vomiting and throwing their fucking trash there like animals. People screaming at me, people being like mean towards you because you're just cleaning, they think of you as less. I did that every single hour, every single day. And I just cleaned those staircases. I was walking there, listening to motivational speeches, listening to financial literacy, listening to real estate videos, doing that 8 hours a day. Now, what I came to a realization of is that I'm not gonna become rich if I clean these staircases. I'm not gonna become rich working for somebody else, and I don't wanna work for somebody else. I don't wanna build somebody else's dream, I wanna build my own dream. But for that, listen to this, guys. If you wanna become rich, if you wanna invest in real estate or whatever you want to do, you're stupid if you buy your real estate with your own money. Do you understand that? Everybody write understand if you understand that. You're stupid if you buy real estate with your own money at our age. Write understand in the chat, guys. You're stupid if you buy real estate with your own money if you're 19. Let me see, I need a couple more. Okay, great. The reason why you're stupid to buy real estate when you're 19 is this reason. If you're 19, you're at best have had 4 to 3 years of experience to try to start working, right? Which means that if you have worked very, very hard, dropped out of school, I could reckon you've been able to accumulate money of upwards of $60,000. What would you say is doable, Timon?
Yeah, well, I mean,
60K, probably if you save everything and you work as McDonald's?
yeah, I mean, if you really try your hardest, you can get like 60K in,
Yeah, max.
yeah, like, a long time.
Yeah,
but still,
maximum
definitely
like,
not.
let's say 50K. 50K would take you to get for 3 years in Sweden if you work from when you're from, let's say, from 15 to whatever. Doesn't matter too much. From when you're young to when you're like 20. But the thing is that if you have 50 to 60 grand, what can you really expect from your investment? 1 to literally 5%. That is not the money you want to make, eh? That's a year, by the way, guys. That's a year. And of course, the property can decrease in value. It can go up in value. But you're not going to become rich buying real estate with your 50 to 60K. No way. No chance of you being rich in that way. But what you gotta do is that you gotta find the people that's worked their entire life already. Let's say people that are 60, 70, 50, and have already made their money. They're already millionaires. And then you gotta get them into your idea, into believing in your vision, in your real estate, that you buy with their capital, you manage the real estate, they get a major investment cut, but you get access to OPM, other people's money that are so much greater than your actually money that you have yourself. That's how you become rich. You lever OPM, which is not your money. You leverage basically their tens of years of working, instead of you working 50 years to literally start buying the real estate that you could have bought when you were 19 years old with other people's money. How arrogant are you if you buy with your own money that are 50 grand when you can buy with 5 million that is somebody else's money if you are good enough at networking and raising capital? So I implemented that factor. I really understood that when I was listening to Robert Kiyosaki. And I started working at that, cleaning those staircases and being that very hard worker. I worked more than I should, and I worked overtime. And listen to this, guys, even when I was not having my job hours, I was going there by my own will, cleaning the staircases when I didn't even get called in. Now what happened then is that the staircases were magically squeaky clean each day. Squeaky clean each day. Every property was squeaky clean each day. And they wondered, wait, how are all these real estate properties so clean? How is the garden so well done? How is everything held to such a standard? I've not even hired anybody to do this job. And soon enough, the credit went to me when one of them found me cleaning up the staircases when I didn't even have my hours working. I did more than I paid for, and soon enough I was paid for more than I did. So then what happened? Well, the boss of that real estate company called me up and asked me, hey Gustav, I have this internship if you want to take it, where you can do accounting for me in my office. I'll teach you all the basics. I'll teach you Real, I'll teach you Visma, and I'll teach you how to actually do accounting. I got taught how to do accounting. I learned how a financial statement worked. I learned how a balance sheet worked. I learned basically how to do an entire year's bokslut. It's called in Swedish. I don't know what it is in English, but it is like a year's revenue disclosure. I learned all of that at a real estate company. I learned how much they got paid for every single tenant that they had. I learned what the interest rate was. I got connections and was able to call with the banking director of SEB, which is the biggest bank in Sweden, one of them at least, because he knew that guy. And I got very good connection with that banker director in my city. And then I also was able to build great connection with that person because I was the only guy he had in his office. So I sat there doing accounting and building myself up, becoming a great friend with him. I got his numbers, we started writing a bit about investments on my phone. And then I was saying that I need an internship for school. And he said, oh, I have this company called Interesta. And they do basically law converting. And I got an internship there. And I did so much, I came the earliest and I got a tag, which basically went that I could go in there whenever I want and I could leave whenever I want. This is 16 years of age, by the way, guys. Still 16. So I was 16 years old. I worked at Interesta. And then I had my own clicker. It's basically something you can just blip on the scanner and then you can join and go into the office whenever you want. Now I went in the earliest of everybody and I left the latest of everybody. I think once I left at like 11 at night and I came in at like 6. And they just see me being the first there. When they came into office, they saw me being there. And when they left for the office, they saw me being there. And then they get a notification on their phone every time somebody checks out. And once they see that me checking out at 11 at night, that's something that really burned in them. So I got offered a job position, making $22 an hour at 16, which is very, very good for Sweden. And also getting bonuses and have my own office in their basically place. And I had flexible work hours. I can come and leave whenever I wanted. And there I worked for another 3 months. Part-time after my school. I took basically project manager of one of their new like projects, which was a BRF, it's called, Housing Cooperatives. And I started helping them with doing deals there. And then I started looking at the laws in Sweden. I was doing more research on real estate. And then I looked into the government website and I saw an article that they were going to release all the basically obligations that were listed to the real estate properties in Stockholm. And I thought, okay, so people are now allowed to do whatever they want according to the detail plan of the real estate in Stockholm. This is very, very fancy terms I'm using here and very hard things to understand, but it is very big value. It's not the most fun to listen to, but I promise you these are the things that will make you rich. I read the footnotes, I started looking at the government website, stockholm.com, I started looking at all their different color coordinations, and I saw that, hey, there are attics, which is basically a rooftop, that could be converted. And I connected together that real estate company that I work with, which had the capital, and this law converter company, which worked with these housing cooperatives, and then also my dad's cousin, which is one of the best architectures in all of Sweden. And I connected all of them together, and then we started basically converting addicts, and I did their entire sales solution. And that made us some pretty good sums of money, but it takes around 1.5 years to get those deals through, which is unfortunate. So that's not how I made my first K. So how I made my first 10K was that I started selling drinks at the beaches. I started selling sandwiches to truckers. I started to sell golf balls. I started to sell everything I could get my hands on. Now Hassan, this is what I did to become basically make my first 10 grand. You listening, Hassan? Hassan? Yeah, great. Okay, so everybody write this as well so you get this in your head. Do more than you're paid for, and soon you'll be paid for more than you do. Write it in chat. Do more than you're paid for, and soon you'll be paid for more than you do. That's one of the best things you can learn. That's facts. If you do more than you're paid for, you'll soon be paid for more than you do. There I build my connections for my current real estate portfolio that we're doing right now, me and Timon. But how I made my first 10K was this. I of course got the money that I got from my job working. And with the money I had there, I started going down to a beach in Sweden. It's called Tylösand, it's called, yeah, Tylösand. And it is a beach where it is around like 60,000 Swedish people who go there. And there is no single store which has water or anything there. And in the Swedish summers, it can become very hot. So there were like hundreds or thousands of Swedish people just laying there, cramped together, none of them having any water, not all of them having to walk like over a kilometer to the nearest stop to basically get water. And what I did was that I went to the dollar store with my friend who had a like a car at 16, and then we started trucking full all his baggage with with water, with Coca-Cola, with ice cream, and then we went down to the beach with all of that. We bought it in bulk from the dollar store, big packages. We went down to it with coolers, and then we started screaming, "Fresh Coke, fresh water, fresh whatever," and we started taking it up. And we got so many people who wanted to buy it because we had a monopoly there. Nobody was able to get their drinks. Nobody was able to get it because it was so far away. We sold every single thing to their people. And one other thing we did, listen to this. This is genius what we did here. Everybody listening? I'm going to tell you a genius thing we did as well for passive income. Okay, great. So in Sweden we have something called a recycling tax, which means that every time you buy a drink item, what you do is that you pay 1 crown or $0.1 extra for that drink, and if you return it back to the store, you get that $0.1 back. So what we did was set up trash cans, just a trash bag, every single where on those beaches. And every time somebody left to go away, they threw their basically bins and everything, their cans of soda or whatever. They threw them in those trash cans, and then we collected everything at the end of the day with all their profits, and then we went back to the stores and we got 10% of all our profits back just from passive income. So that we made thousands of dollars from in the end. And then we also came up with very smart strategies. We started going to golf courses and we started coming up with smart ideas. We set up nets, like these big like nets at the bottom of the water, like water obstacles. And then we just went and collected all the golf balls after the day of the golf course when it was closed at the middle of the night. And then we just took all of that, we took it with us, and then we sold it wholesale to a company. And then we also started just putting up tables everywhere around the golf course. We said like, hey, buy these golf balls for 3 crowns. And we were out selling drinks on the beach while we had passive income flowing through for our golf balls in the golf store. And then we collected everything at the end of the day. And in that we made 10K in one summer just from selling drinks on the beach. And every day we were able to just hang around, get a good suntan, and then just hop in the water and just enjoying ourselves on the summer there. And when I'm saying 10K, I made 10K, my friend made 10K, and my other friend also made 10K. We were 3 people selling. We split 30, 30, 30. So we made 30 grand just from selling drinks in the beach in the summer.
It's insane.
Did you take anything from the story, guys? Timon, did you learn anything from the story?
I mean, I've heard it a couple of times, but you essentially explaining it step by step, I think is extremely helpful.
For sure.
My journey, it's a lot different, of course, but I feel like that's something that people also need to understand. To each his own, right? Every individual is going to have their own journey, and that's going to come with its own challenges, but also its own success. I mean, I haven't been in the whole business landscape for too long. My biggest venture, which is the Closers Collective and the partner company with Gustav, we've only been going on for about, I think, 5 months now. But before that, I was simply selling nuts. A lot of you guys might know this from listening to previous meetings, but yeah, so a friend of mine has a really good contact with one of the biggest nut manufacturing companies in South Africa, and yeah, I'll still do it because it's a nice side hustle, generating passive income. But I started out by just networking with people, people who are in the whole manufacturing industry, and that is now playing a big role in our current ventures, right? Leveraging that network that I've made by simply just selling nuts to old grandmas and people doing hand-to-hand door sales, still selling the product, showing the people that I'm buying the product from that I can sell it, that I have the skill to actually run a business, even though I'm just selling things. That learned me so much that I'm still applying to this day. When I do my calling for the foreclosure real estate business, I still use those communication skills to sell the things that I do. So, yeah, to each his own. The journey is very different for everybody. And yeah, I mean, Gustav also sold things, but of course, it's very different selling nuts and selling golf balls. So, I think the biggest takeaway that you guys can take here is just explore, analyze your opportunities, and then make the best of what you have, right? Go out, by all means, try to find something that's going to work, but then make sure that it can work, right? Make sure that you can make it work. Analyze your current situation, your financial, like every possible aspect of life plays a big part in your journey and the eventual destination.
Facts. And one thing that I believe all of you guys should understand is start with the fundamentals, guys. Please start with the fundamentals. Don't start with government contracting or excess proceeds foreclosures or super complicated things. Don't think you should start off with a weird dropshipping store or whatever else. Don't start with the hardest things. Start with the basics, please. You'll make the most money from it. It is very, very, very hard to make money online. It's very saturated. I myself make my money online, but we do such niche things. But we had to have the experiences me and Timon have to be able to even get there. And that's exactly how it is. Now the last thing I'm going to say today is one thing that I think you guys will value a lot, which is extremely useful, extremely. And that is this. When I was selling drinks on the beaches, this is how it worked. We had 6 people going down with us from the start. There are 1 cooler people and there are 10 cooler people. Now, listen close to this. They were these people we were selling with as well, with my friend. They sold their 1 cooler of drinks, ice creams, and water, and then they left. They were like, oh great, I made like $200 today. Now I'm satisfied, now I'm gonna leave. They were 1 cooler people, right? They were there selling for 1.5 hours maximum, and then they went home. Just enjoyed the beach, just swimming around. They sold 1 cooler. Then there was people like me, and my friend, and my other friend. We were 10 cooler people. They thought of it, hey, I could just sell this, cooler, and then I can make my $150, and then I'm done for the day. And I made literally $150. I made more than a doctor's salary, like a doctor's hourly salary in 1 hour. Hey, this is great. And I don't have to work anymore, and I can just spend out all that money. They were 1 cooler guys. I, myself as an entrepreneur, and my other friends conveniently also got pretty successful and have a business now. We were 10 cooler people. While they saw that they could sell 1 cooler and then just hang out and party with all the money they made, we thought, okay, so if I sell 1 cooler, I could go home, or I could buy with that cooler I sold more drinks and more drinks and more drinks, and I could sell even more. So if they went home from like, maybe we were there 1-2 hours, we were there from the literal morning until the literal night, and we left when everybody else had left. We were capitalized on everything. We were selling as many coolers as we possibly can to make as money as we possibly could. Don't be a 1 cooler person, be a 10 cooler guy, okay guys? So don't be a 1 cooler person, be a 10 cooler. Don't be satisfied after selling one thing, sell many more and think of it how you can scale it. That's how you really become successful. Unfortunately, they nerfed my business by setting up new little, they saw how good we were doing. I don't know if they did that or not, but they set up these small little stores, these like beach stores, and they had those every 1 kilometer apart from each other on the beach that were just lined up, and that basically took away a lot of the traffic. We still could be making like 2K a summer, but that isn't as good as 10K, right? So we stopped doing that. But if you guys could take anything from this video here we've had today, or this little chat here with you guys, is that don't be a 1 cooler person, be a 10 cooler person. Go from a dumb fucker into a motherfucker of inspiration. Burn the midnight oil, or later in life you'll regret what you've done. Another thing is, of course, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's insanity. Nothing changes if nothing changes. It's that simple, guys. So don't do these psychotic behaviors, doing the same thing and then expecting a different result. It's that easy. Also, double the penny each day. If you do that, you have $5,368,709, which is really good. And then also this. We have a lot of sauce to share with you guys today. It is exponential growth, and then also Newton's law, which says every action has an equal and opposite reaction.